So today we're talking about how to schedule your day, ADHD edition. And what I want to start out with first, before anything else, is just um, to throw out the idea that your schedule has to look a certain way to be successful. That you've got to block things. It's got to look a certain way, or you're not going to be successful. I think we've heard that quite a bit, right? You gotta wake up at like 5 a.m. and do this workout and do the miracle morning and journal and sing and like I don't know, all the things, right? Or you're not going to be successful. And so we want to really throw that out, especially with ADHD, because the other thing I'd like is just to kind of look at this with the beginner mindset, because a schedule is really just a cause and effect. It's really just a way to accomplish what you need to. And if your schedule does what you need it to, then it's good enough. And it can look different for everybody depending on how their brain is wired. And there's also this concept where it's like, okay, I just need to get this perfect schedule. If I just figure out this perfect schedule, this perfect time block, then everything's going to change. And your schedule is going to evolve over time, all the time. As you get more business, you're going to need to tweak things. Your values might change, your schedule might change, your commitments might change. You might hire somebody. And so again, we're looking for good enough. We're looking for that cause and effect, that if I do this, this will happen. If I don't do this, this won't happen. And so, because I mean, what I want to say too is, who here, when you hear the word time block or schedule, gets a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of something with it? Most of us, right? So just pretend we're not doing it. Pretend this is a call on a different topic, and look at this with new eyes if you can, because we're not talking about time blocking. We're talking about just a way to make what you want happen. That's it, just cause and effect. And I want to show you something, as I said in here, I mean, kind of throwing out the idea that your schedule has to look a certain way. I want to do a screen share because I've got examples. And if you don't know me, I've been in real estate with Keller Williams for 13 years, and I've been a coach for the last 6 years, doing over 9,000 individual calls and counting. And I see all the time different schedules. And so I want to share with you what I kind of undo sometimes when we get someone that actually gets them into production. So agent A, you're going to see this is the person that's doing it the way we're supposed to do it, or the neurotypical way, let's say, where you wake up at 5 a.m. If you've heard this before, you journal, you read 30 minutes, you make your bed, you eat breakfast, then you exercise, you do affirmations, you watch a motivational video, you shower, you get to the office, you do some other stuff because you're already a little tired and you may not want to do lead gen, and you've used a bunch of your fuel for doing these things or reading this book you didn't want to read because you thought you were supposed to read it, and you don't really like journaling because you can't write as fast as your brain thinks, and so it actually gives you anxiety, and now you're already dysregulated. It's 5:30 a.m. and you didn't get sleep because you couldn't go to bed because you were up too late watching the Netflix episode because you just needed dopamine, you didn't get a break, and all the kids are asleep, and you finally get time to relax, so you stay up too late and you wake up early because you think, I got to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful or I'm not going to be successful, right? So then you get to the office, and then our fuel tank is down sometimes. Now, this might be you. This also might work for you, and I'm going to talk about that too. This is just for anyone that's got in their brain, it's got to look a certain way to be successful, right? So then you finally get to lead generation. You do some lead follow-up, you take a break, you answer emails, voicemails, you do the admin, you do a little bit more lead gen, maybe, kind of, and then lunch, and then appointments. And sometimes this doesn't even happen. It's on the schedule. Does anybody have that? You have a schedule, but it doesn't actually happen over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, so that's not the schedule for you. Stop trying. If something's creating a bunch of resistance, my advice would be to like, don't do it that way. It's kind of counter. It's probably different than what you've heard. It's like, find a way. All you have to do is get the stuff done that you need to get done. That's it. Whereas if we have agent B, let's say agent B, their schedule really, they sleep till 8 in the morning, and they sleep. And they get up and they have breakfast and they get a 15-minute walk-in, they shower, get to the office, answer some urgent emails and voicemails, and then they still have a full tank, and then they're hitting lead generation, they're getting a break, and then they're doing some lead follow-up. Which agent 6 months from now is going to actually have more business? Agent B. So the point of it is, and there are some people who do this and they need to do this and this helps them. That's great. So if that's you, that's okay too. If things in the morning give you energy, do them. Like if they give you energy, do them. If it takes energy, don't do it. Don't do it until after lead gen. Once you've done the thing that matters most, which the the lead generating is the thing that's going to determine your whole business. It's your whole business. Once you've done that, then you can be more free and you can kind of play with stuff. But I would say reserve, if you've got a fuel tank and you only have so much per day, don't waste that unless something adds to the fuel tank. I put breakfast in here because that's really helpful, and a 15-minute walk, which I'm going to go into some of the tips. I thought about like an ideal schedule, and then I thought that actually might be confusing and the opposite of the message I want to give. So instead, I want to give you some of the top tips for scheduling your day with ADHD and some things to think about. And then it's something that you can kind of play with and think of what you want that to look like. So I have the 15-minute walk in there. I'm going to go through that in a little bit. This, for some people, that 15-minute walk is like taking medicine in the morning. Exercise directly addresses the part of our brain that's developed a little bit different with ADHD, and it can help with emotion regulation, motivation, all kinds of things, you know? So that's something I have in there. But again, we really want to reserve that fuel tank for lead gen, because we have some people who are lead receivers. So you're just having people call you, but you're at the mercy of whoever calls you. You don't have control of your business. So I wanted to give this an example because for a lot of people, this is the ultimate, and they spend so much of their field trying to do it that they don't have energy for the thing that actually works, and they're doing everything right, but their sales aren't going up. So again, we really want to do what's best for you and what's best for your mind. So couple things when we're looking at how to schedule your day, now that we've kind of let that go, is your schedule should give you energy. This is our life, Monday through Friday. You are spending maybe 40 hours or more doing this. If you have a schedule that you hate, there's no money or sales worth that. If you don't like your day every day for your career, who cares if you get another listing? Like, get a schedule that you like, get lead gen that you like, get causes and charities and things that you like. With ADHD, we do well with structure, but we need freedom within the structure. And so that, you know, for some people, and again, have discernment, because you also might be in the camp that you wake up at 5 a.m. It gives you motivation, it's challenging, it gives you energy. That's good too. What's really important is just know how you're wired, and really like listen to that. So you want it to give you energy. You want to like your life. You want to like your job. That's really important. And so some people, like, and this is actually a really good comment, like start with eating the frog. For some people, that is really motivating. It feels like a challenge. For other people, that's going to keep them crippled on their phone for 2 hours and they're just not going to do it. And now it's lunch and they feel crappy. So eat the frog, which means like do the hard thing first. If that gives you energy, don't if it doesn't. That's one thing you want, because I'm going through some of the kind of things to think about now. So make sure it gives you energy. Make sure you like your life, your business. Start with the hardest thing if that's good, or start with the easiest thing, because what's really important to know is that we can struggle with like task switching or transitions. And so especially when I coach in with myself on the spectrum, what we do is when the week starts, we might start Monday at like noon or 10 and transition a little bit from the weekend. So instead of like Monday morning, 6 a.m., let's go, like, yuck, no, sleep in. You're an entrepreneur. Do it. Have fun. Who cares? You know? So sleep in and start your day later and ease into the transition of your week. And then same thing at the end. You might shift a little bit on Friday, and you might end a little bit earlier. Or if you end on Saturday, have something where you're kind of straddling both the weekend and the weekday and kind of merging them together. Because otherwise, for some, if you've ever had this, it's like the week starts, you have trouble getting going. You might finally get in the rhythm Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you're good. And then it's time to take a break, and then it's hard to slow down. Have you ever had that? It's like hard to get going, and then you don't want to stop, or a vacation. So we want to ease the transition in and out of the work week to be able to do that and have it more smooth. And same thing with the day. You might have a routine where when you start your day, you might have something that eases into it. Maybe you listen to something on the way to work, Or maybe when you get home in the car, you have something where you decompress and write everything down before you go in. So we're just adding a little baby step in the transition between, our workday and our personal life. And that's going to help you get back into whatever mode you need to be in, instead of you get home, you're in work mode. If you've had that, you're at dinner with your family, it's man, why can't I be present with my family? All I can think about is work and I want to check my phone or something. And again, the task switching, that's an ADHD thing. We want to actually honor that and not beat ourselves up. So that thing, kind of the transitions, start with the easiest thing, if that's helpful for you, or the hardest thing. The easiest thing or the fun thing or something, that can be a really great way to start the day. Because remember, once we get going, it's easier after we get going. It's that first initial thing. So doing something that gets you in the office, that's exciting, is helpful. Body doubling, a lot of you use the body double Zoom room we have. And so it might be like, if it's hard to get going or it's hard to start, then maybe you have someone you meet at the office or you do something together. Or a big one is if you're doing any kind of role play. This was something I had to do for lead gen, is 15 minutes of role play before you start your lead gen. It's a transition. It's going to warm you up. I wouldn't do more than 15 minutes. I think 30 minutes every day can be a lot. So if you do that 15 minutes of role play, and you're going to text the person what you want to role play. And then when you get on the phone, it's 6 minutes of you being the agent, them being the client, stop, 1 minute of feedback, boom, switch. 6 minutes of them being the agent, you getting feedback, 1 minute of, the client, 1 minute of feedback, boom, you're done. And now you're kind of warmed up. And if you're calling, it can be really nice to kind of transition to that, because you're already in that mode. You've already got that energy. So we're looking to kind of ease things in. So that's another one that's really helpful. If you're doing lead generation, you want to split it up into 30-minute categories if you can. Another thing that I see people do that come to me is this huge block of 2 hours of lead generation, this ominous, like, I'm going to lead generate for 2 hours. Anybody done that? And then you just do none of it, or you get overwhelmed, or you shut down. Okay. So that kind of like decision paralysis. So if you cut it into 30-minute segments, and again, start with stuff that you like or that feels easy. Because if you've ever had that, you call somebody and you're like, oh, it's not that bad, I'm just talking to people. So it's, really, when you think of it, when we're doing lead generation, unless you have kind of crippling rejection sensitivity dysphoria, we're really just sitting at a desk in an air-conditioned room, moving our mouth up and down and like pushing wind through our vocal cords. That's really it. Gary Keller, what did he say? Don't confuse effort with enjoyment, Tyler. So don't confuse effort with enjoyment. It's really not a lot of effort, but the mental side, can be more. So it's really like, if we can make it easy on ourselves, that can be really helpful. The other thing, if you can plan the night before. So let's say scheduling is just too rigid for you. Let's say just time blocking, you can't. And I've had clients like that. What you're going to do then is you're going to choose a couple things the night before that would be a win to get done the next day. Keep it really simple. So maybe you choose 3 things or 2 things. And because really time blocking is just being intentional with your day or scheduling your day. That's all it is. It's not some rigid thing. It doesn't have to be. It's just, you want to be intentional. So it could be that you just say, screw the scheduling altogether, and I've got to do these 3 things tomorrow to maintain my business and win. And that's it. And if you do that, you're still going to win. So it might even be that you don't even touch time blocking. That's okay. It's the cause and effect. So, the night before or Sunday or whatever, just identify the things that you want to get done. The time blocking or the scheduling the day comes into play when all of a sudden you've got so much that you just can't get it done and you can't leverage it out. It's just a tool to kind of filter stuff in. Let's see. So you may want to put in breaks for regulating. So I want to talk about like regulating ourselves. So in your day, I would absolutely put in some breaks where you turn off you have phone on silent, and you put in at least like 2 15-minute breaks where you check in to regulate, because we can have emotion regulation stuff, and we can be overstimulated and we can be understimulated. And if you don't check that, then sometimes it can be burnout. We can spin out, have anxiety, get frozen, paralyzed. So if you throw a break in there where you're just, okay, where am I at? If you're feeling overstimulated, which is what happened to me a lot, turn off the lights, get like noise canceling headphones, calm the sensory stuff down, and just kind of re-regulate, because our brain's not regulating in the same way that a neurotypical brain does sometimes. Like we've got to do a little bit more external things. So that can be really helpful, is just to calm that down, because a lot of times it can be, we can think it's anxiety, but it's overstimulus. A lot of that's a thing. Our system's overstimulated. So play with it and see if it's actually overstimulation when you get anxiety. Calm it down, even set a timer for 5 minutes, even if you're trying to do lead gen, calm it down and see if you can cut the stimulus out and see if that's actually the anxiety. If that's what the anxiety is, or if it's actual anxiety. And then we can get overstimulated or bored. So if you're working on some admin thing or something that's not interesting, you might need a 5-minute break. Like, I'm okay. I'm going to get up. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to set a timer. When the timer goes off, I have to leave, but I'm going to go say hi to people. I'm going to get some coffee. I'm going to walk outside. I'm going to change the environment. So we want to just be like self-aware of kind of regulating, and that's going to help you go longer throughout the day, because if you're overstimulated and you don't check it before it gets too late, then we can get burned out, or it's just like shut down. We're just apathetic. We can't do anything more. So then that also leads me to making sure that you give yourself and your brain time to play and flow. Remember, we have less impulse control, and that actually is a key component in creativity. There's a gift in that. I mean, that's Walt Disney, right? Had ADHD and less impulse control. If you are constantly, and I've had this, I've coached team leaders with this, highly, highly structured, and then just depression, anxiety, apathy, just not caring. Think of like discipline as this muscle. And if you never give that, if you go to the gym and you just lift weights over and over again, who lifts weights here? Does anybody lift weights? Okay. Who doesn't? Who just lifts their dog up instead? Okay, we got some people, or their cat, or gives hugs, right? So if you're lifting weights over and over, let's say your bicep, and you're just lifting it all day, every day, and you never give it time to break, you're gonna pull that muscle. You're gonna pull the muscle. We need to give our brain a break. We got to give that, think of the discipline muscle as a break. You need time to play, to let it go wherever it wants to go, to look at stuff. We process so fast, right? 10 times the amount of thoughts. Give it time to play, give it time to flow. And then that muscle is going to be rested, and it's going to be better for the next day. So different people have different gauges of how much rigidity, how much discipline they can use before that muscle just gives up. Because if you get it to a point where it's just tired, that's when it's not even just you can't do real estate. It's like, I'm going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to watch whatever I want. I don't even care. I'm just apathetic at this point. Like, it's like there's nothing holding you back. And if you have substance abuse stuff, which KW Clarity, I want to plug that a lot more because they're incredible. I've talked about that with Sheila. One of the founders of that is, if you have substance abuse, you want to stop it before it's just, you have no impulse control. You want to really gauge where you're at, where that muscle is not just totally fatigued, because it's going to be harder to stay away from stuff. So we really want to watch that discipline muscle. And you're not going to know sometimes how much you can push yourself until you push yourself. So it's okay to play with stuff, and figure out what that is. So I want to throw that out there, is we want structure, and we do well with freedom within the structure. So let's say you're someone that really does want a more rigid structure, because some of us can do that. I've done that for sure before. Let's say you do that. So what you want to do, two things with that, is you want to first practice. Let's say you get your ideal schedule, and you just get on a piece of paper, and this is your ideal schedule. What I want you to think of it is like a practice, or again, a muscle that you're strengthening too, because we can strengthen these, versus I've got to do this perfect, or time blocking doesn't work for me. Has anybody done that? You got this perfect schedule. It's going to be amazing. You see it. Oh my gosh, this is too much. I can't do it. Right? I've done that too. Or you have this huge thing you're going to do, and then it's just too much. You get overwhelmed and you shut down. What I want you to look at is, let's say you do have your ideal schedule. You are ready to get more rigid. think of it as something that you're working on, because we're looking for a sustainable way of operating your business, not some big overhaul that's going to burn you out and it's all going to be done in a month, because then you're back to square one. So play with it, move stuff around. It doesn't have to be rigid. Make a schedule and then tweak it and do different things with it. I'd also like you to look at it almost like a budget. Let's say you are doing your ideal schedule and you really are blocking it. Think of it as a budget. When you make a budget for the first time, a lot of times we forget, oh, shoot, I need new shoes. And oh, I forgot to put cleaning supplies in there. And I didn't even remember about how many times I eat out. So then we're going to adjust our budget and go again. And then, oh, shoot, this kid's got to go to summer camp, or I forgot doggy daycare or whatever. We're going to keep adjusting. And so don't think, here's my schedule and this isn't, I got to do it, or I'm going to put it away over here and never do it again. And so that's what I want you to think about as a practice. If you make your ideal schedule and then you can only do a little bit of it, that's okay. If 2 hours of it, you want to go for that, and that's too much, bring it back to an hour. If that's too much, bring it back to 30 minutes. If that's too much, 15 minutes. And maybe your goal is just to do 15 minutes of it for a week. And then you bump it up to the 30 in the hour. I want you to think about this sustainable growth that you can maintain versus the all or nothing extreme. I either do it or I don't do it at all. I either have this incredible schedule or I suck. I either master this or just scheduling is not for me. Really watch kind of the all or nothing stuff with that. Let's see. Timers, we've got time blindness, right? So we can have trouble gauging how long things take or how long it's been. So if you get into a project, like anybody get lost in Canva for like 3 hours and you're like, why? This is so dumb. Nobody's going to see, right? Okay. So when you have something that you can get hyper focused on, set a timer, because it might feel like 15 minutes or 30 minutes and it's 3 hours. So those things that we get locked into, make sure you're setting a timer and then think before you get into it. Okay, I'm okay if I spend up to this much on it, but other than that, that's too much. So that's something I'd really recommend, because again, we can kind of have trouble gauging that, and it's just, we want to help ourselves. The other thing is just some kind of preparation to help us with that. This is kind of a separate note, is like having snacks and water. Have you ever had that where it's like, oh my gosh, I either can eat and be late or I'm going to be on time, and so I guess I'm just not going to eat? Have you ever had that? Or those times where it's like, oh man, I forgot, I don't have any food. Let me just like spend and get this money or order Postmates or something. So if you can get, like with your schedule, if you can get granola bars or snacks just in case, that's huge. It's going to save you. It's going to help you stick to your schedule a little bit. Have them in the car, have them at the office. It might seem like a bit of a simple thing. And again, we can get to that hyper focus ability. And then some of us, especially if you're on the autism spectrum, a little bit more like blood sugar stuff that can affect us, and regulating that. And yeah, skipping lunch is a big thing. And we're going to have somebody come on, because there's a big correlation with hypermobility, autoimmune diseases, gut health with ADHD. It's very prevalent with the neurodivergent community. So I have this incredible specialist microbiologist that I'm working with that's going to come on. But there's a lot of stuff systemically with our body. It's not just, this stuff. Like there are other things, because ADHD is genetic and it affects the body. And so really we want to look at the self-care, because the other thing I want you to think about is just when you're coming to schedule your day or you're showing up at work. I want to give you 2 examples of a kid at school. Okay. So the first kid that, let's just pretend, does anybody have kids here? Or cousins or nieces or nephews, or was a kid at some point in their life? Anybody here? Okay. If not, that's interesting. Let me know. Okay. So pretend you're sending a kid to school, whether it's you or somebody, that's still a kid. I'm still a kid too. Yeah, for sure. And if you send one kid to school and they don't have clean clothes and they don't have water and they don't have a snack and their homework's crumpled up, and it's been stressful, and they've had a parent yelling at them or saying negative things or beating them up for being late and talking negative, and they show up at school, how well are they going to learn? Whereas right? If you have another kid that even if they were later struggling, you were patient with them, you were gentle with them, you had snacks, you had water for them, you reassured them, even if they forgot their homework, they forgot to tell you, you're like, it's okay, here's what we're going to do, you know? So how you're setting yourself up for your day and talking to yourself can affect whether you stay on schedule or not, and whether you're present or not. Again, it's this self-positive talk that we want to look at, because again, 20,000 negative messages is what we get by the age of 8 with ADHD about our behavior. 20,000 negative messages. So it's easy to not trust yourself. It's easy to talk a certain way. And when somebody says your schedule has to look exactly like this, it's easier for us to say, I don't really trust myself. I'm probably doing something wrong. Let me do it your way. So I want to reiterate that the schedule really is just intentionality. It's just a way to be intentional. And so however you do that is okay. So let's say you get your schedule, right? Your more rigid schedule, and you're ready to go, and you do it for a couple months and it works out, and then you hit a wall. Anybody have that with a routine or a schedule or anything? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to change your schedule. You don't have to use more discipline. You might be bored. Tweak something in it, make it new, do it a different way. You might have, I personally have 3 different schedules that I rotate. So instead of beating myself and forcing myself, if it gets hard, I go to the next one. And then it's new again, because we do well with newness. And so if I'm waking up, I'll do one where I wake up and work out in the morning. And then when that gets really stale, then now I'm sleeping in because that's just what feels organic. And then I'm lifting weights or doing something right at 4 and then coming back. And then my other one is that I do a different type of workout. So I'm not on a lifting routine, and now I'm just doing fun activities, and I've let go of the lifting, and I'm rollerblading, I'm skateboarding, I'm rock climbing, I'm hiking, all these things in the morning. So again, it's good to switch, because I think what a lot of us think is we just got to try harder. We got to push ourselves. We got to talk harder. We got to have more discipline. And I'm saying if you're feeling a bunch of resistance around something, maybe that's not the thing for you anymore, because what matters is the result. It doesn't matter how you get there. It doesn't matter as long as you get there. So let me see. I know we're close to that. Okay, so here's what I want to tell you about too. Bookends of the day. So we can't control, especially if you have anxiety or you do well with structure. We can't control our day. What we can control are the bookends, how we end the day and how we start the day. Those are the bookends. And this is from The Compound Effect. It's actually a book that I read. And so we can't control the middle of the day. We control both. So if you're someone who gets a lot of anxiety, or you do well with structure, or you need routine, then you can control, or trauma, right? Predictability feels safe. If you need predictability, do that. And so in the evening, it might be just a couple little things. It doesn't have to be some grand routine where you meditate for an hour and all this stuff. It might be that you go to a familiar, like kind of cozy game that you play, or a magazine, or one show that you watch, or something like that. Something to kind of ground you and give you stability. Could be time with your family. You walk the dog, you do a hobby, something to give kind of that structure and kind of that calmness that kind of winds you down. Take a bath, whatever that is. Whatever gives you energy, right? And helps you show up as your best self. And that's going to be different for everybody. And then in the morning, that's your other bookend. So what does that morning look like? Because again, exercise, 15 minutes of movement is really helpful. And if you can't get out of bed, do it in your bed. Move your legs, stretch, just tense up your legs. If you're, tired, if you're having a flare up, if you got a chronic illness that day, if you just, whatever, it's okay to adapt, because one of the things I've noticed too, and a lot of us and myself, that rigidity, that all or nothing, it's gotta be this way. If I'm committing to exercise and running 30 minutes for 3 times a week, and then I get to and I can't run, we want to train ourselves to say, okay, I can't run, what can I do? Because then you're getting the movement in instead of not doing it and beating yourself up. Well, I need to clean the house anyway, so let me set a timer for 30 minutes. Okay, I did it differently, but I got the movement in. So keep thinking about, what is the goal? What is the objective? What is the intention? And if you're feeling a lot of resistance on the path, allow flexibility within the path, because that's when you're going to get stuff done. Then I want to throw in the red, yellow, and green days. So we've talked about that. We have a call on that. So let's say you get your schedule, and then, oh my gosh, it's like, it feels insurmountable, or you feel like you have nothing left in your fuel tank. So you might adjust. You might have a couple different schedules or different expectations depending on where you're at that day. We talked about red, yellow, and green days. What I do want to say is basically that is like a high executive function day, a medium executive function day, and a low executive function day. That's what those stand for. And depending on your brain chemistry, what's going on in your world, if you've overworked, you might have different days. What I think a lot of people don't know, and you don't see on social media, being a coach for 6 years, most people's day is a yellow day. I forgot to say that when we taught that class. Most people have a yellow day most days. That's not bad. That's just the baseline. You're not like super high executive function, doing everything, crushing it. I think that's more rare, depending on the person. I think it's more common to have a yellow day most days. And so don't beat yourself up if you're doing that. If you have a yellow day where you have a medium executive function day and you're getting your lead gen and you're doing everything, maybe you're not conquering the world, but you're building your business slowly. If you have a red day, then you're going to scale back and just go for the things that matter, that you need to, you know? So know that it's just what you see on social media being a coach, and it's just not what's real. It's really not. It's just highlight reel, and for a lot of people, not all, but for a lot of people, it can be a highlight reel. So again, don't compare yourself or think everybody's just crushing the day every day. No, it's pretty normal to, you know, kind of have like a medium executive function. I do want to say this is what I want to say lastly, and then I'll recap. Know your peak productivity hours. So that's going to vary who you are. So pay attention to if there's a pattern of when things feel really hard or easier. Some people 9 to 10 is their peak productivity, and they might do the things that are harder and that take the most executive function or lead gen. For some people, it might be 2 to 3. You know, it might be 7 to 8. It might be like, yeah, 7 to 8 p.m. So pay attention to your peak productivity days. If I'm writing a speech, my best speech that I'm writing is probably going to be from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., sometimes till 1. So go with it. It's okay. You know, it's okay. Do that. Do what is best for you, and do it that way. You know. So again, I just want to say that your schedule does not have to look a certain way to be successful. It's what a schedule is. It's just being intentional with what you're doing. That's it. And as long as it achieves the objective, that's all that matters. So practice, kind of think of it's supposed to give you energy, practice your ideal schedule, and then kind of tweak things as you go. And it might take 6 months to find your ideal schedule as you do trial and error. And it's just cause and effect, right? If I do this, it will happen. This will happen. If I don't do this, this won't happen. And then lastly, watch your commitments. We can be people pleasers. We can say yes, yes, yes. When you say yes to something, you do say no to something else. So if you're saying yes to a bunch of things, what are you saying no to? And know that you're okay with that, because some people's schedules are all messy because they're saying yes to all these things that they really don't need to be saying yes to. So that's what I want to say too. If you, there's so much around time, but we'll have to do another one. Okay, here's what I'll say last. If you're so busy, if you feel so busy, but you only have a couple deals, you don't have enough deals to be that busy. You're spending too much time on stuff you don't need to be doing. You just need to be doing lead gen. So if you are so busy, but you've only got 1 or 2 closings a month where you don't even have time to lead gen, you're not doing something, or you're doing something you should not. I just want to throw that out there. Cut it back, keep it simple, do the lead gen, take care of your clients. So you guys are doing amazing. Everybody, like we all are. And just give yourself grace, you know, really. Just give yourself grace, ease up and look for the tools, be curious. And then when you got the energy to push and it feels good, go for it, because you have the ability to, you know, have more energy and more focus than anybody else. And it's going to look different than other people. So have a schedule that you enjoy, a life that you like. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you guys so much.